Hello and welcome to Still Rolling BJJ podcast. My guest today is Professor Vitor Oliveira. Vitinho is a four-time IBJJF Masters World Champion and one of the most respected Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu competitors and instructors in the world. Hailing from Teresópolis, Rio de Janeiro, Vitor started training at just 8 years old at the legendary Pitbull Academy, following in his father's footsteps. He went on to earn his black belt from Adelson de Lima at the age of 22 before joining GF team under Julio Cesar Pereira, where he built his reputation as both a world-class athlete and coach. Over the years, Vitor has faced some of the best to ever step on the mats. These include Marcelo Garcia, Jade Ribeiro, Murilo Santana, Leandro Lo, Otavio Souza, Gilbert Burns, JT Torres, Renato Canuto, and even young phenoms like Micah Galval. And he hasn't just shared the stage with them. He's beaten some of the sport's biggest names, including Leandro Lo, Santana, Lepre, Caltera, AJ Agazarm, JT Torres, Clark Gracie, and Lachlan Giles. Beyond competition, Vitor is the head instructor and founder of Ronin Training Center in Columbus, Ohio, where he's been passing on his knowledge for years. While he's proud of his many titles from the IBJJF Pro League and Abu Dhabi Grand Slam to multiple Masters World gold medals, what he loves most now is seeing his students grow through hard work and determination on and off the mats. Vitor, it's an honor to have you on the show, and welcome.
So the honor is mine. Thanks for having me, Matthew. And it's a pleasure to be here today with you.
So what I'll start with is we'll start with your background and your history. And when you started jiu-jitsu, obviously you were very young. You were 8 years old, which, if I'm doing some math, I think you've been on the mats about 30 years now. Is that correct?
Yes, something about that, something around there. So I started jiu-jitsu when I was 8, back in 2019. So my dad got me jiu-jitsu. He probably was a blue belt back then. And I started competing very young too. So on the same year that I started training, I did my first tournament, and I still have the medal at the gym. And I started jiu-jitsu because I used to get bullied in the school, you know. So everybody used to beat up me sometimes, pick a fight with me, and I didn't know how to protect myself. So since my dad was training already, he decided to get me to the gym as well.
Okay. And did your dad stick with it? Is he a black belt as well?
Yes, my dad, he got his black belt long time ago. He was a 4th degree black belt.
Okay.
So unfortunately, he passed away pretty young at the age of 50, I believe. And I kept going. I kept training. Yeah. So through my dad, like that, my dad gave him a very good skill. You know, present me a very good skill.
Yeah, he's given you a skill that you've turned into an athletic career and a life and a coaching career. You have your own gym. You have a very successful gym. It's a beautiful facility right in the heart of Columbus. When your dad got you competing, did he coach you hard?
Well, my dad didn't coach much. I think he understood a little bit that like he had to let me do my own thing and let my coaches coach me. And it's funny because when I first started, you know, it's very hard to learn like front rows, all these techniques. And he would get mad at me, and I would get mad at him because he would be a little bit aggressive and hard on me. And I think that's what the point that he said, okay, I had to step out and let he be like he do his stuff. Let the coach guide him.
Okay, that's good, and that's a good lesson for, I think, every coach. You know, we talk about this in jiu-jitsu circles sometimes. Sometimes parents have a tendency to overcoach when a professor just wants to coach their student.
That happens a lot. That comes from like parents that train in jiu-jitsu and some parents that never put the gear on. So you see them outside trying to coach the kids, their sons. So I think maybe a message for the parents: hey, let your kid have fun, you know. So at this age, like it's not gonna really matter if you're gonna be like a world champion, because there's not world championship for kids. Let they train, let they develop their skills, let they find themselves. All right, no. So I think that's a good reminder.
How big is your kids program at Ronin?
It's pretty big. I think you have about 100 and something kids. Like again, Ohio is pretty tough sometimes because you have all those sports. We are pretty big in wrestling, and get to the summer and some in winter, kids stop training a little bit just to focus on wrestling.
Yeah, wrestling is pretty big here in Ohio. Um, is uh is wrestling a big deal do they have wrestling in Brazil?
We do have a wrestling, but it's not at the same level that's here. So I think they might be like a few years behind. So it's not very strong, but we do have wrestling in
Yeah,
Brazil.
great. Um, what was it like learning or earning your black belt from Adelson de Lima?
I think like uh was great because I trained with him since a white belt, and that's a fun fact on there that like I grew up with a few other kids in the gym. They eventually like they all my good friends nowadays. But back then, like you grew up like getting all belts together. And at brown belt, my first year at brown belt, I started to decide to compete more, right? But wasn't that good. My first year, my second year was not good. And then the second year was a belt promotion in December. And he did on this space, a very nice space in Brazil. And everybody knew that we were going to get promoted. And I was like, I don't know if I want to get promoted this year. I think I should compete one more year as a brown belt. And then everybody went to the ceremony and I stayed at the bleachers sitting.
Okay.
I did not participate. I skipped it on purpose. And she looked at me and like, yeah, I see you. I say, yeah, I'm sorry, but let's wait another year. And then the following year, I got my black belt after those friends. And again, it was like a big pleasure to be promoted by him. I'm very um, fortunate to be coached by him. And a lot of my game is inspired on him, like pressure, like being aggressive is much like my master Adilson.
Okay. Uh, Now, competing as long as you have, I mean, you have so many matches under your belt. Did you always know that you were going to become one of the best?
Not really. So I compete a lot, not, and like I didn't understand a lot back in the day. I knew there was like a Brazilian national world championship, and that was always a goal to accomplish. But um, I didn't really training for that. I like to compete. I always like it. If there was a tournament every weekend, I would do every weekend. I would go every weekend to compete, no matter where. Like on the state of Rio was a tournament, I would go there. And I didn't like never stop to think, okay, I need to train to this to be a world champion, to be a Brazilian national champion. I would go like whatever happened would happen. I would do my best, and I didn't like start taking very serious until my 16. That's where I start training more and try to be uh, a Brazilian national champ or state champ back in the day. And later on, after I moved to Ohio, that's when not later on, like around 2010, when I moved to GF that's when I started like, okay, I just gonna just train full time and I'm gonna teach a few classes and I'm gonna try to be the best I can to win championships. So that year I was coming back, training. I had some good results. I didn't win any major tournament. Was on the podium in most of them.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Um, so you feel like joining GF team really changed your trajectory to
yes, it did.
become elite.
Like it's always like I think any area in life when you move to a bigger city, you get more opportunities. So you get to try different people, get to do different tournaments. I think was like a very important decision I did back in the day to move. And the only reason I joined GFC because it didn't have an affiliation back down in Rio de Janeiro. You had like Gracie Barra, but Gracie Barra would be too far from me, so I decided like to join them.
Okay.
Uh, and then like was great. I met great people there.
Um, so when you've like I said, I read a whole laundry list. In fact, even when I was doing your introduction, I even cut off some of the names that I had listed in there because I felt like I could just go forever. Um, what matches stand out to you as uh, the ones that you are either remember the most fondly or are most excited about?
Well, like one was again, all my matches against Otávio Souza was the toughest because I had been competing against him since I was 16, and he's a beast and super nice guy as well. But I've had the hardest time with him. I only beat him one time. Was in
Okay.
a semifinal in 2015 at World Championship, and that was like I'm in the final. Finally,
Yeah.
I was overwhelmed. And then the follow match also was very hard against Carlos Calazans. So another very tough guy. One of the like I was very excited too was against Leandro Low because he also beat me a couple times before, but that one was like, okay, this one was a great feeling beating the world. Always a great feeling beating a world champion,
Absolutely.
even though like doesn't make you a world champion, but feels good.
Absolutely. Yeah. And um, how do you think that when you face somebody that had beat you multiple times, how do you prepare yourself mentally to go up against them the next time and maybe the next time and next time if you've already lost, multiple times against the same person?
Well, like again, like a lot of people sometimes they keep the defeat stuck on the head. I try always to not to. Even though like people say, "Oh, I'm not scared, I'm not nervous." Everybody gets nervous. It's normal. Of course, like when you compete against somebody that you lose many many times, yes, you're gonna get nervous too. You already know like that game, and they keep beating over and over. But like I never give up. I say, okay, one day I'm gonna beat this guy. Like even just like gonna be just one, I'm gonna beat him. And if Otavio was a good example, like every year I would face him in the quarterfinals, semifinals, all the time, Pan Ams, Worlds, same thing like that. And I would get beat. Sometimes beat like not with like a lot of points, sometimes even submitted, but they never let me get down. I always keep my head up. Hey, next week's another tournament. Let's go back home, work on the mistakes, and let's face this guy again. Because again, one day you're gonna have to beat this guy.
Do
So
you approach going up against the big names differently than somebody maybe you've never heard of?
yes, but again, with all like always respect, and the respect what I mean is I gotta be conscious against somebody that I don't know, because if I don't know the game, I cannot just get there and look at him or whatever. I never saw this guy. I'm gonna do whatever I want. Sometimes not like that. And of course, against the tougher guys that like was high level guys, yes, that's a different approach. Okay, you got to study him way more. You got to focus way more to don't do mistakes, because one little mistake can cost the whole match on a high level. It's very hard
Absolutely.
to come back like from coming back like up on points on tough high level guys against like the guys that are not as high level as we were back in the day. Yeah, I would be more relaxed, but again, yeah, I gotta treat this match like a final match still, because I need to win this to get to the next, to get to the next. In my head, every match is a final match. So I gotta win. I gotta win this final. I gotta win the final, the second, third, until the tournament's done.
Okay. How has your pre-match preparation evolved over time? That we all get a little older, a little smarter. Maybe we breathe more.
Yes, when I was young, like, I didn't knew have a like very good knowledge of like warming up, or doing all this stuff. Maybe do some drill, do a warm up match before your first match. Most of the time, I would just put my gear on, get to the tournament, and hop on the mat, make weight and hop on the mat. So over the years, like after I moved to Ohio, I start training with like different people, like strength and condition. Then I start like acquire more knowledge about it, you know. And today, like, of course, I don't compete as much, but I have a broad idea of. So I have to get to the tournament early, like adapt to the tournament, and change my gear, like do a few warm up, maybe do a jog, and then get somebody, do some drills, you know, to break the sweat, and then like I'm ready to compete, you know. Um, yeah, so that's how I evolve over the years. Like put a good music, be in a good place, positive, you know. I try not talk to basically anyone. Once I stop on the bullpen, there's not talking to me. I'm focused,
It's
you
time to
know.
go.
It's time to go, you know, because anything can distract you.
Yeah. Um, what's your proudest competition moment?
My proudest competition moment, I think, was at the 2015 Worlds. I didn't win, but like I got very close, and was one of my best tournaments ever. That was, I think, was my proudest competition.
It's actually kind of fun you mentioned that one because I watched a highlight clip of that
Mhm.
tournament today. Some of your highlights. Your style is exciting to watch. As far as transitioning, so you moved to GF team. What led you to open your own school, and how did Ronin become? Uh,
Well, running story. I did not start running. I did not found the running. You know, Luke Zachary. I don't know if you ever heard his name. He used to be a former UFC fighter. He was at the UFC Ultimate Fighter with Matt Brown back in the day. And he and his buddy, they used to train at Roof House back in the day, 2011, 2010. And they decided to open a place just like for fun, train. So they got a few people and opened a gym right down on Delashmont Avenue by McDonald's on King Avenue, like Greenville area. And they were like doing trials with a lot of instructors from different gyms, you know. So then like my uncle Elio Sonek invited me, asked me if I would be interested to come and check it out, right? To maybe to move here. And back in the day I didn't want to move here. I just want to like to come, train and go back home and keep going to school. And I agreed with him to come for 2 weeks until the instructor come to the gym. So I got here on my first week. So I went to compete in American Nationals. I came back and then went to lunch. And Luke Zatcher um, um, put on a Google Translate. Hey, if you one day you wanted to move to Ohio, you let me know. I would love to help you. You know, because back in the day, all I could speak is hi, how are you? My name is Vitor, and that's it.
yeah,
So, and I went back home. I went back to the house I was staying on at that night, and I remember like thinking, dude, I'm gonna go back to Brazil. I should live in the gym, you know, very short money. I might just give this a try to see where this is gonna take me, you know. Let's see how far I can go here, you know. And the next day, I text him and I say, hey, I think I want to stay, you know. And he say, great. So let's start work on your visas and let's see if you can get a visa for you. Later that year, I went back home to tell my family, hey, I'm moving. So I'm gone, just like that.
yeah,
And say, hey, you never told us anything else. So like this happened. There's a good opportunity. I want to try. So I got my visa the following year in 2013, and I'm here.
yeah. And what is it? In the last year or two, you got your U.S. citizenship, correct?
Yes, I got this year
This year.
back in April.
Yeah, I think I
Yeah,
remember seeing the pictures on your Instagram.
yeah.
And congratulations. When
Thank
you told your family that you were moving to the U.S. on more of a permanent basis, I mean, were they happy? Were they how did
Oh,
they accept that?
they were surprised, you know, because I was not leaving home at all. I was in Rio de Janeiro. I was living by myself. So I think like they didn't get like true like, oh, So, but what are you gonna do? How are you gonna get there? So they were okay. So I think you can take care of yourself. But my aunt was surprised because I used to live with her, and she said she was kind of scared. Always like she like my mother, and I think she was kind of like scared about it. But again, everything worked out, so everybody's happy now.
Yeah. That's good. I think that to me that sounds like they just wanted to make sure that you had a good enough plan
Yes, which I
to.
didn't.
We say in the Marine Corps, we say that the plans go out the window the first round's fired. Um, so as you transition, actually, when you got your black belt, you were a white tab black belt, correct?
Sorry.
Did you have a white tab on your original black belt, or were you a red tabbed?
No, I was red,
Okay,
the red bar, and I didn't get the black belt, the white until maybe later, 2000, maybe 16, which
okay,
was David Garmo that gave me that presented me with that belt, gifted me with that belt because he used to have this brand of modern flow, I think, and this belt have a as a queen chest piece on the bottom.
okay.
Yeah, so he gave me the belt. Then I started competing just with the belt.
Awesome. Yeah, I saw the white tab, and if you're listening and you don't know the difference between your white tabs and your red tabs, it's the white is competition, and
Mhm.
red is for coaches. And actually, you're the black belt. You can probably
Yeah.
explain it a whole lot better than I can. Um, so as you transitioned and you started coaching, how did you balance competing at a high level and also now coaching?
Well, that was a very hard task to do because so when I got here, we didn't have a lot of students. It was me and another 13 people, and most of them were white belts, right? They had a few blues, a few purples. I think the only brown belt was Dan Siegel, if I'm not wrong, and everybody else was purple and blue. And those are the people I had to train.
Tell
You
you
know.
what, man, and white belts probably don't fully understand how cool that would have been if you were a
Hmm.
white belt and you're getting to go to these small classes and learn
Yes.
from somebody that's so good. I love it when classes are small because it becomes almost like a semi-private.
Yes, exactly. And so for like what would happen? I would like I came fresh from Brazil. I was very sharp on my game, and then throughout the year, I would slow down a little bit because I didn't have as many good training partners, as I used to have in Brazil. And what I would do to stay sharp, I would go back to Brazil in December for a month, and I would spend maybe a week at home with family, and then the rest of the vacation would be at GFC headquarters, training every day. To when I come back to Brazil, I would be like sharp again, and that would last all the way through Worlds. So for many years, I didn't have training partners for to compete at Pan Ams and Worlds. Would be my students, you know. And later on, uh, a few friends start coming to Ohio to train for me. Vinicius Marinho is one of them that came many years to train for a month to help me out on my preparation for Worlds.
Okay. And you've coached outside of your academy as well. I saw a clip of you. You mentioned that you were training Marines. Were those United
Yeah,
States Marines, or was that the?
what wasn't exactly. Uh, they were not like didn't complete the school yet. So that's in Brazil. You call the Escola Naval or the Navy School, which is it's like it is kind of like a high school program. You gotta pass on a test. It's very hard, and these kids have a like Julio, Master Julio have a program there that would be the BJJ, and I took over his classes. That way, I could make some money to like live in Rio. You know,
Is military service compulsory in Brazil? Do you have to serve in the military for a year or two?
it is 1 year, so you have. I serve, but I did a very basic training, so I didn't do a whole lot in the while I was serving, but so I served in my city, which was small headquarter, and then on my neighbor city, that was the active. military service, which like I was planning on going, but my grandpa father didn't let me go. But yeah, I served for 10 months, basic training. I remember like I think I shot once.
Okay, that's okay. Um,
So you when you turn 18, you have to enlist yourself. And what happens is like if you're healthy, they pick you. And if you have any issue, health issue, you know, they let you skip.
okay. Yeah, a lot of Americans don't realize that most other places in the world, men have to give a year or two.
I
Um,
think we, I think everybody should. I think it's important for the growth of like a man. I think every uh, young male should serve. I think it develop a lot the character, the personality. Make you like stronger.
it's a big part of how I grew up, or matured when I was a young adult. I joined the Marine Corps when I was 17, went to boot camp, and and I got a lot from my mom and my stepdad and whatnot. But I definitely you definitely have to transition from being a kid to being a man, when you're serving on active duty. How do you? What is your philosophy on like promotions and competition? Is that an important thing? Because you obviously are going to be Ronin. You have a lot of competitors at Ronin, but you also have a lot of hobbyists.
Yes.
How do you
Yeah,
approach it?
I think the most like in the gym we have a lot of hobbies. I think the percentage of competitors is gonna be like 5%. Not today, like in 2025, I have like only 5% of competitors in jiu-jitsu. Back in the day, I think like 80% of the gym was competing. You know, Nowadays not as much. Again, like shift, like for me, shift a lot. You know, because I want to have both sides. I wish I could have 50-50, but it's not realistically nowadays. I really like people that comes just to have fun, just for the lifestyle. And there's also a lot of the people like to compete. But again, takes a lot to be just a competitor.
Hmm.
It's hard. I don't think I have somebody that's full time competitor. I don't think I ever had, which is fine. Like life gets in the way. People get married. People have to go to work. Um, People don't want to take the risk to just leave off of jujitsu because it's not easy. You know, like it might be like one in maybe 1,000 that can do that and succeed on. As far as promotion, of course, I think it's common, very common, like in anywhere in the world, the guy that competes the most and have the most accomplished, of course, he's gonna get promoted faster. It's hard to hold somebody like that. So what I mean, so of course, like let's say you come to train, you win worlds at blue. So you did everything already. Like you won the biggest tournament, right? You more than ready to compete on the next one on a new belt, on new level. That's a challenge. So we throw the challenge at you. So you have to work hard. We are just a connection to the next sport, and then you win again at that level. Okay, so hey, you won the level. It's not for wrong. Hey, let's try the next level, not the challenge. Until the challenge not there, there's gonna be other challenge later on in life. After black belt, maybe your challenge is gonna be try to be as many times world champ as you can. If like your body allowed you to do. Um, and for the hobbies, yes, it's skills. You need to have the skill. It's not just come to the gym. Oh, I'm gonna do 30 classes. I'm a point stripe. 30 classes on a stripe. 100 classes. I get my blue belt. No, there's many ways you can um how to say test the person. Now challenge this person. And you gotta have skill, knowledge. You have to be a good teammate. You know, be good not just in the school. Of course, like outside the gym is hard to know everyone. I can like oversee 200 students outside the gym.
Yeah.
You know, you need to have a good action for yourself outside. Be a good person. That counts. Um, help others in the gym, like to feel drilling. I'm a blue belt. That's a white belt, beginner white belt, first day. Okay, I'm gonna get this guy. I'm gonna godfather him. So I'm gonna take him under my wing, gonna help him walk here, you know. So that helps as well to get promoted. There's many factors that it is involved. Now it goes different from people to people. Like some people are just there for have fun. They don't even think about the belt. Some people want to get the belt. Hey, how long takes me get the blue belt? Those are very common question for everyone. I think everyone like have had deal with that at some point in life, and it's hard to answer because hey, this is my answer to you. It's on you. It's gonna take as long as you want. You know.
That's a
So
good way to answer it, honestly.
like I can't say hey, so you're gonna do 100 classes. You're gonna do this test, right? Or I'm gonna you're gonna do 30 classes. You're gonna get a white belt, a stripe. No, hey, show me that you're absorbing, you're retaining all this information, you know, and then you go from there. You know, it's from person to person. Like some people show up in the gym every day, some people show up once, twice a week. It's gonna take forever to be promoted.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Well, I've been training a long time and I'm still a blue belt. Um, but I've become so much more consistent over the last year.
yeah, consistency is very important. No doubt of that. You gotta be consistent.
I like that you mentioned that character is a piece of the puzzle that you care about. I don't know which Gracie it was. It might have been Alio. It could have been Helston, which I'm at Gracie, Ohio, by the way. Um, he said, you might be able to fool me for 5 years, but you won't fool me for 10. And that had to
Exactly.
do with knowing the character. If you've been training with somebody for 10 years, you're gonna have an idea of who that person is.
Yeah, yeah. So that's another saying. You fool me once, do it twice, the third time, you're not fooling me anymore. Uh, yeah, it's hard because when you get people with like a weird character, it's challenging. You know, it's challenging.
Yeah. Why do you think that why do blue belts quit? Why do you think some people stay and why do some leave?
Man, that's a hard question.
I know. I try to get you.
I don't know if they not like because to do jiu-jitsu you need to be patient. If you don't have patience, though, you're not gonna last long. And I think a lot of people get to that blue belt, and a lot of blue belt thinks that like either they don't deserve or they're not as good, which is it's not true, because as I said, it's a challenge. You have to keep improving to reach to the next level. If you reach the blue belt, you deserve it. You earned that. Now things get a little bit harder because I say to some people, and people can think that I'm wrong, but a blue belt in a lot of cases is a very good white belt.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they start discovering themselves like between blue and purple. That's when you start really forming your game for the hobbyists. For people that a competitor, that game's all developed way earlier, right? And sometimes takes time to understand the concept of the game, of the sport. I think that's the hardest part. I have students that when he got his blue belt, a year later, he told me, "Hey, now I can understand the things. Now I can connect the dots because it's hard. It's a lot of things to learn. You know, a lot of stuff. It's not just like is a jab, a cross, and a straight punch, and then you make a few combinations. No, it's like butterfly, de la hiva, reverse de la hiva, half guard, open. It's a lot of stuff, and then take a while to uh, fall in love with one game. I would say fall in love with one game. Oh, I really like spider guard triangle. Takes a while for people to like connect the dots to get to that game, and then eventually, as you keep going your journey, your game switch. That happened to me. I used to play half guard when I was a juvenile, like 16.
You
I
had
learned
you
half.
had a good reputation for being a half guard player.
Yeah, I used to play half guard like from blue to purple, and then I switched to top again. You know, and then I stayed playing top all the way through black belt. And now, thank you that I have like a good understanding of guard, and I still can pass guard. I think I still can play on top. So I think they quit because they just not doesn't have patience, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I was talking to a guy today. He thinks he's close to his blue belt, and he said, I don't know if I want it, and I'm like, well, it's not completely up to you. If your
Yes,
coach thinks that you're a blue belt, then you're a blue belt. He knows better than you do on that. And I said, and it's not easy. It's, you're going to go from being the king of the white belts to being maybe the worst blue belt for a
exactly.
minute. And that's hard to deal with mentally. And you just have to understand that that's what it is.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. Like, again, it's a challenge. Once you move from one level to the other, again, it's you have to adapt it to be on their level and then be good at that level. And it's that transition from like, or from when you don't roll as much, you do just like situationals in the gym as a white belt, and then you go to a fundamentals class or advanced class. Again, you're not gonna be beating people with that right away. So it's gonna be hard. You're gonna have to adapt, maybe relearn a little bit to start like, okay, now I can hang up with these guys, right? I can beat these guys now. I can put a fight with these guys, and it is a process. So you move here, so you're not doing as well. Then these guys move here. Now you do again well against this guy that just moved to the blue belt or purple belt, and so you go. So it takes time.
What kind of balance do you try to keep drilling versus rolling?
Well, we try a lot. I try a lot not to do full rounds anymore. I try to just work on situationals on specific positions that I wanted to get better,
Like
and
constraints
like,
based training?
as yes,
Ecological?
we
Okay.
do, we do that a lot with the guys from Pedigo, like Dante, when he comes down. So they come on Tuesdays here. So we try just to work on situation, and it's like 50 minutes just situationals. You know, you need to get better at this position. Like, what can I do? And I always say, sometimes I'm gonna give an example. You're gonna do back takes, right? Usually, so when somebody loses the back or somebody gets submitted, we reset on the same position. What I do is, when somebody gets submit or somebody escape, we switch spots. Okay, now it's my turn. And on my head, if I can submit the guy and escape his his attacks for 5 minutes, okay, I'm doing very well. So my technique's sharp. But if he doesn't, okay, you need to work on this to get better on this. Go back home, do drills, study the subject. To next time you come, you do better. You know. So we do that a lot on Tuesdays, and I try to do it for my students as well. It's a between situationals and live rounds most of the time.
Yes.
And I also use that for myself.
And so then that's the proof there. If you're doing it for yourself, it's going to be solid. I had my first experience. I was traveling and I went out to Boise, Idaho, and Paul Sharp at SBG was teaching, and he has an ecological approach where it was completely constraints based from the very beginning of class. Okay, here's where we're at. This position, go. And and he taught a little bit, but it was very much exactly what you're talking.
I think it's very helpful.
Mm-hmm. Um, what about teaching kids versus adults? Do you take us like what? I mean, kids as a whole. I didn't do jujitsu when I was a kid, and so yeah, I'm sure it's completely different. Um, what are the key differences?
I think kids gonna be always harder because of you have to be able to keep their attention, and it's hard, and you gotta give way like less information for them.
That
So
makes
way less information, like little steps by step. It is challenging, and they're still learning nowadays. All right, so how to coach the kids. So I'm always trying to improve, like how to uh, lead the kids class. So adults, like it depends what level you are working with. White belts, I would say you gotta teach like you teach a kids class sometimes. You gotta
okay.
small pieces
That's
at a
good.
time.
Okay.
Keep
Uh,
all the
um, so if you've probably had a lot of students that have uh, have started training, they've left for whatever, people have kids, they have lives and jobs and everything else. But when they come back, this is a big part of kind of how my podcast and some of the social media started, was kind of about sort of a return journey to jiu-jitsu. How do you help people kind of get back into the flow if they've had to take a break for injury or life?
Well, I always tell them to come to the beginner classes just to start get back up, or whenever they come to the advanced class, I try to tell them, hey, maybe get somebody smaller, train somebody smaller that has some good control that's not gonna hurt you, or just come and like watch the class and do the technique portion of the class. So I think it's pretty standard for everyone. I have many times that happened to me. Women that got pregnant, had the kid, and 6 months later they come back training. Same idea. Hey, maybe train just with the girls. I always tell them that, so you're coming back, then people don't go too hard on you. I think that's a good approach to all of them.
Um, what kind of lessons has jiu-jitsu taught you about life off the mats?
Be respectful is one, discipline, you know, helping others always, because I didn't get where I am without help. You know, I think in life you don't get anywhere that if you like somebody didn't help you. You always have help from somebody, parents, friends, you know, professors in school, anywhere. You had nobody learns things by themselves. You had somebody help at some point in life. So I think that's very important. Um, Self control, and stay helped me a lot to stay out of trouble in life. I came from Brazil. I did not live in a great neighborhood. Wasn't bad, but wasn't the greatest, you know. And my family, I think like a strong family base is very crucial for like growing up and for my character. My parent was great, and with the little money they have, I still uh, come up like good person, I don't think the money or the place I live define who gonna define someone. So you can live in a poor area and still become a great person. As far as don't walk with the wrong people. So you always have to, again, if you have good friends, they're always gonna tell you, hey, this is the path, this is the path, this is the path for a reason. That way you don't fall in bad hands.
Yeah, I liked, I told my kids, you are who you hang out with. And I absolutely agree that, your station in life, wherever you're at growing up, you can kind of choose your own adventure.
Hmm.
You can choose to be great, or you can choose to fall into whatever traps that put you in trouble in the first place.
It is a choice, right? So once you start understanding more about life, like again, you gotta choose where you wanna go. You wanna go to this path that may put you in a bad spot, or you wanna go this one that you're gonna have more opportunities, you're gonna be successful.
Yeah. And I think that jujitsu, more than anything else, at least in my life as an adult, has, provided me with a tribe that, you know, I'm eating better. I don't hardly drink. All these things that, could be your normal middle-aged guy traps, um, you know, like eating bad and drinking too much and whatnot. I avoid all of it because I want to go train and I want to go see my buddies that are also doing the same thing.
So you want it to be feel good for when you come to class.
Yep. Yeah. Somebody asked me actually yesterday about my reasons why I train at the 6 a.m.s instead of the evening, and do I eat before I train? I said absolutely not. I don't want anything on my stomach. Um,
Really?
yeah. Are you kidding me? Yeah, I don't want to have food, bouncing around, and it just helps me, wait a little longer before I eat. I burn a little more calories. Yeah, I just live a healthier life because I'm invested in jujitsu at this point. Um, so sport versus self-defense. Jiu-jitsu has really evolved, probably in the last 20 years. is,
Mhm.
and you have a much better idea of where it's really kind of changed a lot. I know that in the '90s, obviously IBJJF was started and we became a federation and things started becoming sport. But now it seems like jujitsu, at least on the interwebs, people have this raging debate that I think is maybe emphasized more than it needs to. But the sport versus self defense, how do you think this split is going to continue? And do you think that it'll come back to center again?
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. So you learn armbar, you learn scissor sweep, you learn controlling the arms. Basically, what you learn in self defense and sport jiu-jitsu is the same. Of course, that berimbolo, all this like more technical that you need more deep understanding, maybe probably not going to work on the streets. It depends who you're going with, right? So you don't want to be with your facial close somebody, of course, right? So I would not do that, right? Also in sport, you don't have punches, but you have people kind of aggressively trying to grab your collar. So what do? You block. You block. It's everything translates. You know what I mean? Like if I get on a street fight, I know how to defend myself. I didn't grow up training self defense. I know how it works. You know, I think it's silly to people think that's two different things. My honest opinion, right?
I agree. I agree
I think that
completely.
somebody that learns sport jujitsu, he can defend himself just the same way somebody that just do straight self defense can do it.
Yeah, and I think that some people that come from self defense related schools often compete very well. Uh,
Exactly,
and
because
then
again, that's a very strong and basic technique that they learn.
yeah,
I like it.
you have
I
common
use it.
sense.
You know, I use it like very basic, close guard, like like spider guard, like scissor sweep. I use all of that. Like a lot of my jiu-jitsu nowadays, when I train, I try passing over on my knees. I don't stand up. You know, I use the basic stuff that Roger Grace teaches. I watch Roger Grace a lot. I watch everyone. You know, and for me, I honestly, I think um, it's just a blend of everything.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I agree. I just when I read on the internet, people talking
Yeah,
about this or
it's
that.
funny. It's I think it's mostly people that don't live jujitsu like we do, you know, because when you do this for so long, you see, okay, this I can use this, I can use this the same way I use in sport, in self defense.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
you have common sense.
yeah,
Uh,
common sense.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm not going to
it's
stick my
that
face where it can
perfect.
get punched.
It, it's common sense. So if somebody comes to punch you, you gotta protect yourself. You can duck in double leg, you
Yeah,
know.
absolutely.
So I think like it's silly to be arguing about that nowadays.
Yeah, and I honestly, it's silly to argue about anything on the internet, and um, especially in this day and age. What do you think is if you could have a rematch with anybody, who would you
If
like another crack
anybody,
at?
man, there's a few. So Peter Frank would be ones that I lost to him last year, World Masters. Could be one. Um, I would like to maybe compete against Lucas Lepre again because I just did it once. Who else? I don't think I have many people. Like my drive to compete nowadays is like really shift. I don't think about compete anymore. But if I had to choose, would be some of those guys. Um, Lucas Lepre, Peter Frank, um, Otávio Souza would be a good rematch. Gilbert Burns, which I compete like purple, brown, black, so it would be a good one. Somebody to face again.
Yeah, and you're when you're competing at that level for so long, you've probably become pretty good friends with a lot of these guys.
Yeah, I talk to all of them.
That's awesome.
More like every time I see Peter Frank, we chat about a little bit. I ask about his next uh, events that he's gonna do it, and it's great to see like he's doing so well on the jiu-jitsu scene. Otávio Souza, every time I see him, I also chat with him. Um, all of those guys, like I haven't known them for so long that they kind of become, I'm not gonna say close friends, but some friends at some level. You always see each other, talk to each other.
Yeah. Do you how long do you think you're going to keep competing?
I don't know, man. I don't think I want to compete anymore. I
None.
have been doing for I have been doing this for since I was 8.
So I mean, you're not even 40 yet, right?
I'm 40 next year,
Oh,
39.
40. Okay. So, oh, is that master?
Maybe, yeah, I don't know. I think I'm gonna do a match next month in Brazil, jiu-jitsu clubs. As the Depredinator is organizing. I think that's gonna be my next one. And then I don't know. I'm not gonna say that I'm gonna retire because then I go and compete again. So I just leave that open. So maybe once a year I compete, maybe not. Maybe I don't compete at all. I just leave it like that. It just I don't have that drive that I used to have probably like 7 years ago. I
Okay.
think I want to focus more on the school, maybe even open a new school eventually. I don't know.
Okay. So you're coaching the next generation is the
Yes,
best way to put it.
I want them to do well, do better than I did.
We have do you have well, I'm not going to make you pick favorites on a podcast that your students are going to listen to, but um uh as far as where people can find you, on socials, you have your Instagram, we have your websites. What else do you have going on?
I just have the Instagram. I'm not big on social media. I don't
Okay.
really like it.
Okay.
When I post stuff, it's like simple stuff. Yeah, basically on Instagram, they're gonna find me on Facebook, but I'm more on Instagram.
Okay. And if you're in the central Ohio area down near Grandview,
Yeah,
Ronin
come,
is a fantastic academy.
thank you. Come check it out. We are open every day, so having over 30 class a week. We offer Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai, Krav Maga, Judo, kids program, Muay Thai, and kickboxing. So we have basically everything in the gym in one spot.
You
If
go,
you're around the area, if you're visiting Ohio, Columbus, come check it out.
that's awesome. And yeah, and I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down with me and talk a little bit, and maybe sometime we'll have you back on. And again, I'll try to get down to an open mat and roll around.
Yeah, come let me know. I make sure I show up there and get some round with you. And thank you again for the opportunity to be on your show. And can't wait for the next one.
It's my pleasure. It's been an honor. Obrigado.
Thank you por nada.